what's up? It's me, Crystal. I hope you're all having a wonderful, amazing day and an amazing week. So today's video, it's gonna be on temptation. I actually got a request to do this video and I hope that it's able to help you, and I hope the tips that I give you today are gonna help you overcome temptation, because we all struggle with it. If by the end of this video you like what you heard, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll have a little circle with my beautiful face in it, like either on this side or on this side, and if you like it, just go ahead and click it. It's that easy. Let's get started. So the first thing I want to say before I totally just dive right in is everyone struggles with temptation. Temptation is everywhere, and I don't want you guys to beat yourself up about it, because it's just something that's inevitable. Temptations are always going to be out there. There's always going to be something that comes up that you're going to want to do or that you're gonna want to give into, and we just have to find the strength through God to overcome those temptations, because they're everywhere and everyone struggles with it. I don't want you guys to just totally beat yourself up about it every single time a temptation comes across your path, because we all struggle with it. We all need help. We all need Jesus to overcome. I feel like there's this sort of standard that people place on our elders that are in the church. We have this idea of like a perfect Christian. We think that, in order to be a perfect Christian, that we're not supposed to have temptations, that we're not supposed to have those types of thoughts. But that's not the case, you guys. Even the people who are the closest to God, they still have temptations. It actually says in the Bible that even Jesus struggled with temptation. In Hebrews 4:15 it says, "For we do not have a high priest who does not sympathize with our weaknesses, but in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin." Sympathize in ancient Greek actually meaning to suffer along with you. Jesus suffered temptation as we do. It's important to remember that actually being tempted is not a sin. Sometimes we think that when we're in that situation and temptations are coming towards us, we think that we're sinning, but it's not the temptation. It's what we do when the temptation comes. It's what we do after we're presented with that situation and the choices that we make afterward. And don't get me wrong, if temptation does overcome you, Jesus is a forgiving God. He will forgive you, but we can't abuse that power. We can't abuse God's forgiveness by just doing it over and over and over again. Jesus had so many temptations. If not, he had temptations that were even worse than what we have to go through. In Matthew chapter 4, it actually talks about how the devil himself tried to tempt Jesus. And how did Jesus respond? He responded with scripture. And that's actually my tip number 1 in overcoming temptation, you guys. Scripture. Scripture is so powerful. When the devil came and tempted Jesus, he responded by actually saying scripture. We must use scripture in order to overcome, just like Jesus did when the devil tried to tempt him. The devil tried to make Jesus do selfish things, and he tried to tempt him with all these things, and Jesus just responded with scripture, because there's power in scripture. Think about if maybe you're struggling with the temptation of anger. I know a lot of us do, especially me. There's people out there who try to get under your skin, who try to get you all riled up and make you act out. But when it comes to anger, just think about the verse Proverbs 15:1. It says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Whenever you're presented with a situation with a coworker or a friend or a family member, you guys, remember this verse. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Think about it, you guys. Whenever somebody is coming at you with all of these things that are supposed to make you mad, how you respond ultimately determines the outcome of the whole entire situation. If you respond with anger, if you respond with fist in someone's face, cussing somebody out, you guys, that's just gonna escalate the situation even more. And at the end of the day, you're probably gonna feel even worse about the situation. When if you would have just turned the other cheek, when if you would have just chosen to say something nice, or chosen to actually hear the person out and listen to what they have to say, and just, you know, communicate and talk about things instead of just responding in such anger, things might have turned out differently. So just think about that Bible verse. There are so many Bible verses to help you out, and it helps to read your word when it comes to temptation. We must internalize the Bible. We must take it in, every word for word. It's not just written just to be written. There's a reason why things are in there. The Bible is your guide. Use it, internalize it, take it into your mind and into your heart. And tip number 2 that I want to give you guys is in Matthew 26:41. It talks about that you must watch and you must pray. Prayer is a huge thing. Prayer brings you closer to God. The closer that you get to God, the easier it is gonna be for you to overcome temptation. Don't get me wrong, things are still gonna come up. Things are still gonna be hard. But the closer you are to God, the more you're gonna be like Him. The more you're gonna be like Jesus. Jesus lived without sin. He lived a life without sin, but He could still sympathize with us because He was still tempted. He just chose to go the other way. Instead of choosing to let the temptation overcome, He chose to go the other way, you guys. So we must learn to live a life of prayer every single day, whether it's in the morning when you wake up, in the middle of the day, at night when you're driving in your car. Living a life of prayer is so important, you guys. It's so important to fill each day with God. And not only that, God says not only to pray, but it says to watch and pray. You guys might be thinking, what does watch mean? It actually means to know yourself, know what tempts you, know what types of things are triggers for you. You know, it's important to know these things so that next time you're presented with a situation, you're able to fill yourself up with the types of scriptures that are going to get you through it. Or maybe you're able to avoid the whole situation altogether. You know, if you know that drinking is something that tempts you, try not to surround yourself with that kind of stuff. If you know that sexual lust is your sin, you know, maybe try not to look up certain things or watch certain things on the internet. We must be mindful to the things that are trying to tempt us. And most importantly, I want you guys to remember the scripture in Proverbs. It talks about how the righteous man falls 7 times but gets back up. You guys, the righteous man falls. Even the most perfect of Christian that you think, even the most perfect person that you hold up so high in your church or what in your life, if you think the person that you think is closest to God, you guys, do you think they got there without temptation? Do you think they got there overnight? No, you guys, the righteous man falls, and not only once, but multiple times. You guys, we all come short sometimes. We all make mistakes. There's going to be times where we fail, but is it really failure if you get back up again? You know, the righteous man falls 7 times but gets back up. You have to keep trying. You have to keep going. Don't give up, you guys. And, you know, I still personally struggle with temptation so much. And I just recently feel like I overcame one of my biggest temptations. With me, I would just ask God to help me with this situation that I was in, with these temptations that I had. I would pray constantly, and still I would feel these temptations. We think that God is never going to come through, or He's never going to answer our prayers, you guys, but God has been working through me so much in these past few weeks. And you know, I feel like I've grown, and I feel like I've gotten closer to Him. And the closer that I've gotten to Him, the easier it has been for me to avoid those temptations. The easier it has been for me not to give in to those temptations anymore. And, you know, I'm not perfect, and it still is a struggle, but I promise that it's a little bit easier. I just want to tell you guys that really, in order to overcome temptation, you just strive to get as close to God as possible, because the closer you get, yes, the more temptations are gonna come, but it's gonna be a little bit easier to get through them. When I finally gave in to God's plan for my life, when I finally stepped into my calling, I feel like so many things fell into place, and I feel like my life is completely turning around. And yes, I know that things are going to get harder and things are going to get thrown at me. Trust me, I know that I have a lot coming for me, but I also know that as long as I keep God close to me, I'm going to overcome whatever the devil tries to throw at me, you guys. So don't feel bad if you're struggling with temptation. Don't feel bad if you've fallen short, more than once, because it's going to happen. We're human, we're in our flesh, we aren't perfect, but it's important to strive each day to be more like God. You know what, you guys? I believe that one day each and every one of us is going to get there. I never thought I would be here today, and I am. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm gonna have a little bubble that comes up with my face in it. Go ahead and click on it. It's super easy to subscribe that way. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day and a great week. And remember that whatever temptation is holding you back, through the power of prayer and scripture and being mindful of what temptations are in your life, you're gonna overcome it, you guys.